Are you prepared for sequence of return risk? Hi, I'm Scott Hamilton, a financial advisor in Austin, Texas, and I'd love to help. So, first, let's define what sequence of return risk actually is. It's nothing more than market volatility during the initial years of retirement. The problem is it can permanently deplete a portfolio, regardless of long-term performance. All right, so that's a lot of words. Let's just describe what it is with an example. So let's say you have retiree 1 and retiree 2. They both have the same long-term average return. But let's assume the average retiree, the year he retires, year 1 and year 2, there's a market decline of 15% per year. And retiree number 2, there's a 15% same thing, except for let's shift it to year 10 and year 11. And you know what? The retiree 1 has a major risk of the plan failure. What that means is he runs out of money. Runs out of money before he dies. That's definition of a plan failure. Retiree number 2, okay, yeah, he might have noticed the downturn, but it did not make him anywhere near plan failure. So it's a significant risk. So let's talk about what we do in practice as a financial advisor to guard against this, because there's things we can do. We can plan for this, and we know it occurs. There's a lot of academic studies that talk about sequence of return risk, and so we're aware of it. We plan for it, and we suggest maybe 4 things. Emergency fund. Everybody should have an emergency fund. You know, depending upon your job, your career, your stage in life, it should be 3 months to 6 months. But you know what? There's no reason that can't be 1 to 2 years, which I've got clients that keep 1 to 2 years of, and we're talking about living expenses in a high yield money market account, you know, to earn an interest, and it's there for a rainy day. And this is part of their portfolio allocation. So anyway, have an emergency fund. That's number 1. Number 2, maybe you could have a bond ladder. The benefit of a bond ladder is you're matching the maturity of the bond or the bond fund with the liability. So as that cash becomes available, you can use that cash to fund the expenses for that next year. Very elegant way to solve that problem. ETFs or the new bond ladders. Used to be a stagger individual bonds. Now we do ETF bond ladders that mature in December. They're a great technique. Short-term bond allocations. So let's assume you've got your portfolio allocation. You've got some stocks and some bonds and some real estate, some cash. Of that bond component, maybe a part of that is a dedicated to short duration bond fund. I mean, what that means is when we start to draw down this portfolio, the bond component, specifically the short-term bond fund, because it has less volatility, that's where we'll draw down. Draw down from the emergency fund, draw down from the bond ladder, draw down from the short-term bond fund within the bond allocation. And then number 4, you know, when we build these plans, they go out for 30 years. And, you know, your CPA has got to be backward-looking, 100% accuracy for a year. What we need to do is be generally accurate for the future 30 years. So that allows us to have dynamic spending. So if the market goes down 15% for 2 years, just curtail your spending some. Maybe postpone those 2 big trips, right? Push them out a couple of years. Dynamic spending allocation is a great way to mitigate the risk of sequence of risk return. All right, so let's talk about bear markets. So and corrections. And let's understand that they're fast, they're scary, and they're very frequent. But you know what? We also recover. Because if you look back 100 years, the S&P 500, it's almost a straight line going up to average to over 10% return on average for the S&P 500. So a correction is a downturn of 10%, and they occur every 1.5 to 2.5 years, like clockwork, right? But they're also unpredictable. So you can't time the market. It's an impossible dream, fantasy dream. My strong suggestion is not to try to time the market. No, don't even try. And a bear market is a decline of 20% or more. And these happen every 4 to 7 years. And again, both recover, relatively speaking, relatively quickly speaking. So anyway, that is what the sequence of risk returns are. If you like this video, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Please go to our website, Hamilton Financial Planning. Thank you.